Hello and welcome back to the Ironside, and if you're new here, welcome to the Ironside. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about where we need to strengthen most this summer, a couple of players that I think we should go all out for, talking about who we've been linked to so far, some previous links that might be coming back up, and I want to get your thoughts on where you think we should be improving this summer. Now I'm going to try my best not to talk about Declan Rice and the saga that's still ongoing, because I did a video already discussing exactly this, which you can find up here. But yeah, we're going to jump straight into the video. Let's go. Firstly, just a bit of a disclaimer, maybe not a disclaimer, but before the Conference League final, I would have said one of our main positions we need to improve this summer would have been left back. I didn't fancy Emerson to take the crown from Cresswell, and Cresswell's obviously 32, 33 now. But saying that, Emerson had a very, very good final. So maybe I haven't given him enough credit previously, because I always thought of him as better going forward rather than defensively. But he had a really, really solid game against arguably the best winger in the competition last year. So I have high hopes for Emerson this year, so I'm not going to list any left backs. I don't think we need to improve. I think Emerson can 100% take that on next year, and we'll still have Cresswell there. Maybe bed in one of the under-18s, because we have a very strong under-18 team. So I won't be looking at left backs. Goalkeepers, although I think we need a new goalkeeper, we won't be looking at one this summer. I think what we're going to see next year is Areola take over #1 in the league and Fabianski be our cup competition goalkeeper, so a bit of role reversal. I'd expect to see that, but who knows with Moyes these days. He likes to spring a surprise, apparently. Same as right back. Right backs, I think we're fine. We've got Soufal. Although I'm not a massive fan of Johnson, we still have Johnson. Kera can play right back as well. And then again, we have players in the under-18s that could maybe come in and do a job. The first position that I'm going to talk about is centre-back. We need a right-footed centre-back to help Zuma. Because at the minute, if Zuma's not playing, that means we're playing with two left-footed centre-backs, which is where we see Aged really struggle, because he's the one that normally moves out to the right centre-back position, rather. And we have Ogbonna come in where he normally plays. That being said, Kera can play as a right-footed centre-back, so we have got a little bit of wiggle room there, but I'm not quite happy with having one out-and-out centre-back that's right-footed. Having said that, I don't think we're going to go out and get a right-footed centre-back this summer. I think we'll probably, if we go for a centre-back, it's got to be a ball-playing one. And I previously alluded to this player. I've spoken about him a couple of times. Again, in my previous video, I spoke about him. And that is Wolves' Max Kilman. He's a very apt player, very good player. He was picked up for a professional football playing futsal for England. So he's very good on the ball. And he's just the type of centre-back that you need to start building from the back. That being said, I know a lot of Wolves fans seem to think he's their worst centre-back. But last year they were raving about him. It's the fickle fans of football. 1 minute they love a player, next minute they hate him. Kieran Entry, Mikel Antonio, the best example of that for us. So Max Kilman's a very good footballer. You would have seen him playing. He's very fast. He always seems to pocket Antonio as well, which I think is often overlooked. Even though our performances against Wolves in general over the last couple of years have been very good, our results anyway, Antonio never really seems to get a sniff when Kilman's playing. So I'd like for us to go for that type of player. Maybe not Kilman, because like I said again, he's going to cost upwards of 25 million and he's not going to be a starter for us. He's not going to uproot Zuma and he's not going to uproot Aged. So it's 25 million for a sub. But that type of player is someone that I'd really like us to go for. So a ball-playing centre-back. I haven't done any research to find anyone that fits that bill. I will later on in the summer. But until we have the funds, or our funds are released to the public, so how much we have to spend, I don't know what the budget would be. I want to make it as realistic as possible. So I'm going off us essentially getting 100 million for Declan Rice. And then also assuming Sullivan's going to put that back into the team, because once he goes, we have a massive crater. And then you have the likes of Scamacca, looks like he's on the way out. Antonio again looks like he's on his way out. And I thought we'd be dumb or stupid to let all these players go, but apparently Moyes doesn't think so. Or Moyes and the board don't think so anyway. So that's the type of player I want at centre back. That's the first position we need to address in the summer. So for me, the main core of the team needs addressing. We need a centre back, a couple of centre midfielders, a striker, and maybe a winger. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about them positions and a little bit as to why I think we need to bulk up the squad in those positions. So the next one's obviously centre mid, with the assumption that Rice is on his way out. You're never going to replace him. You're never going to be able to fill the void that he's going to leave, especially in our team. So for other teams, they might be able to cope without a Declan Rice, but we can't, because our midfield uses Declan Rice for everything positive we do. He's our fallback plan if things aren't going well, and he's also our destroyer in midfield. And that word there, destroyer, is the perfect way to describe the player I want to talk about next, which is Alvarez. He plays for Ajax, Mexican, I believe, and he is a real dog. He is a real dog. He's a very good player, and he is rumoured to be available for around 35 to 40 million. Now, that is a massive sum of money for a player that a lot of fans won't have heard of. But saying that, he has got Champions League experience, Europa League experience, he's won things at Ajax, and he's also linked with Borussia Dortmund. So we need to act quickly if that's the player we want in. But what I think we'll see is that we won't bid for anyone in midfield until Rice goes. And I don't know whether that's a boardroom decision or a financial decision. I'm not too sure, because even if we had Rice, we need to bulk up our midfield, in my opinion. Souček can't be playing every week. Declan Rice played 50 odd games this year. Paquetá, I can't see a player wanting to play midweek against Macclesfield in the Carabao Cup and then also going to Sunday up to Manchester. He can't do it. Lanzini's gone as well, so we've lost a good squad player there. Fornals I could see going this summer. If he doesn't, I can't see him getting much game time again next year. Unfortunately, as much as we all love Fornals, he's been out of favour this year, and I can't see that changing. Moyes is very stubborn in that. So Edson Alvarez is the first player I want to talk about in midfield. He's a destroyer. He's a ball-winning midfielder, and he's very good at driving the team forward. He starts a lot of the attacks for Ajax, and he's a very good player. Again, this type of player is perfect for us. It allows Souček to play in that higher role, which he's better at because he can't play in the last leg of our midfield. As you see, he struggles. His positioning isn't very good. His passing isn't very good. He's much better getting into the box, getting on the end of something. That's where Souček is most effective. And the way we've played this year, with wanting Rice to get forward more, hasn't allowed Souček to play to his best abilities. The style of play that we tried doing this year has definitely negated Souček's threat. So getting in Alvarez to really sit deep in that midfield would allow Souček to explore and go forward, much like Fellaini did for Everton, which is one of Moyes' favourites. So that's the first player in midfield I want to talk about. The second one I'm not going to talk much about because, one, I don't think it will happen. Two, you would have seen him play a lot. And three, I'm not convinced he improves our midfield, but that is Paulina, who is at Fulham. Sorry, he does improve our midfield, but I don't think it's the type of player that we need to improve our team moving forward. It's a short-term fix. We need something with more longevity. Paulina from Fulham had a very good season. Rumours are from Fulham is that they all love him. He's a very good player. Links with Liverpool, so he has to be a relatively good player for Klopp to want him. I don't watch much of Fulham because why would I? So I haven't seen much, so I'm not going to pass too much judgment on him. But when he played against us, he does look very good on the ball. He looks a similar style of play to Declan Rice in that he likes to drive forward with the ball. Very comfortable on the ball, which you always need, especially next to Paquetá, who's going to be our more creative outlet. It allows it to play next to someone that's just as comfortable on the ball as you are. It makes a difference tenfold. The final player in midfield that I want to talk about, is it the final player? Yeah, the final player I want to talk about in midfield is James Ward-Prowse. So the free kick merchant, as they say. The David Beckham of current times, some might say. I love James Ward-Prowse. I think he's a very good player. Technically, one of the best players in the Premier League from set pieces in years, arguably ever. And his numbers tell no lies. Now, there is a bit of a conundrum with James Ward-Prowse, and that is, here it is. So, he is Southampton's main asset. So they're going to generate the most money this summer from James Ward-Prowse. He has been there since he was a kid. He's not going to hold them to ransom over a transfer. He's not going to turn around and be like, just let me go. So they've said that you can go, but they're going to dictate the price. So they're asking for 40 million for James Ward-Prowse, which, if you're adding to a midfield that has Declan Rice already in it, that's a great signing. But with Declan Rice not being in that midfield, you can't tell me you're replacing Declan Rice with James Ward-Prowse. That doesn't work. So you're going to have a midfield three of Paquetá, Ward-Prowse, and Souček. That really doesn't work for me. It doesn't hit the note. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right. I don't think we'll be successful with that as a midfield. I think that's similar to what Southampton tried doing after they let Romeu go. They sat Ward-Prowse a little bit deeper, but Ward-Prowse is a rare commodity with what he can do. Set pieces, we've not had a decent set piece delivery for as long as I can remember. Old Payet was probably the last one. Someone that you really expect big things every time you get a set piece. We are set piece merchants. We do score most of our goals from corners and free kicks. So having someone like Ward-Prowse in that team, especially with his leadership skills and his overall knowledge of the Premier League, would be very good. But he's not a direct replacement of Declan Rice. That won't work. If we're bringing him in to sit where Declan Rice does, then that's really not going to work. He needs to come in alongside an Edson Alvarez or a Paulina. And then even if you get those two players in, we need to change our style of play because they're very different players to what we currently have, which I'm going to say doesn't work. Even though we won the European Cup, I'm going to say that our midfield three doesn't quite hit the right notes. It has at times, but for whatever reason that is, I don't think it's quite, the synergy isn't quite working. So we need to tamper into that. Now Warburton's gone, I'm hoping that the coaching staff can, when we bring someone else in, I'm hoping that can help really build a strong midfield, because that's, I think, our main problem this year was our midfield. Paquetá came in and took a while to adjust, which is fair enough. Looked phenomenal towards the end of the season, don't get me wrong. Souček is being asked to do things that he can't do. He's not a player that wants to play in perpetual motion with the ball. He doesn't want it to his feet constantly. He doesn't want to play 1-2 touch passing. He wants to battle and win headers, and he wants to get higher up the pitch. And Declan Rice, you know about Declan Rice. So we need to find a midfield three that really work well together. You need to find a midfielder that suits Paquetá. That's it. If you can get two midfielders in to let Paquetá just do what he wants, then we will improve tenfold next season. So what I'd like us to see is getting someone like Alvarez and Ward-Prowse, put them two in behind Paquetá and say, Paquetá, you do what you want, we've got this covered. Because when Ward-Prowse played alongside Romeu a few years ago for Southampton, that was a very good midfield partnership. The rest of their team was shoddy, don't get me wrong. But those two worked really well together. I think it was under, it wasn't Poch. It was whoever they had after Poch. It might even have been Hasenhüttl right at the beginning of his tenure. I'm not too sure who it was, but that worked really well. For that reason, Romeu sat really deep, which is what I'd want Alvarez to do, and then Ward-Prowse does the same job a little bit higher up, but has the freedom to get forward when the chances and occasion arises. And then also you have the threat of his set pieces. And in addition to that, he is a leader on the pitch. He's been Southampton's captain for the last 3-4 seasons, and I know they've gone down, but he still has the experience of leading the team, which we're going to miss massively next year when Declan Rice does go. Next position I'm going to talk about briefly, I've spoken about it before in a couple of our other videos, is left winger, left midfield, or whatever you want to call it, the hybrid role. I also want someone out on the right hand side, but we'll go left hand side first, and that is Harvey Barnes. I think if we get Harvey Barnes out on the left wing and Bowen out on the right, that is a great attacking trio, even without a striker. You insert that striker, whichever striker you want. But Harvey Barnes, then you'd have Ben Rama as backup. Like I said, I think Fornals might go. Then Cornet, I'd move into the middle as like a second striker. Similar to what we did with Antonio, but he's not going to have the same impact as Antonio, unfortunately, because he's not as big and hustle and bustly. That's not a word. It should be a word, though. It sounds good. So yeah, Harvey Barnes would give us that pace that we have lacked for so long. We do not have any pace in our team. Antonio looks fast in our team because the rest of the team is slow. So Harvey Barnes out on the left would be perfect. We'd have something cooking there. On the right-hand side, there's no one in the calibre, no one in the realms of my mind that I can think of that's going to uproot Bowen. But there are a lot of players out there that are on a free that have been released that would do a job. First and foremost, and the only one I'm going to talk about on the right wing is Adama Traore. I think it would be silly not for a Premier League team to just offer him a contract. He's absolutely rapid, and yes, his final ball is dreadful at times, but he can be unplayable. And I genuinely could see Traore coming in to the middle and doing exactly what Antonio's done, because Antonio's final ball and final decision making has always been poor. Yet for a couple of years ago, he was outscoring the top strikers in the league at the beginning of the season. So I'd like us to go and get Adama Traore out on that right, offer him a contract, squad player, much needed pace again, and he can play the cup games. He can play Thursday night in Burnley, or Sunday evening in Burnley, and then Thursday travelling to, I don't know, Turkey. Like, these are the type of things we need to think about. So it's not necessarily about first team names on bringing in household names constantly. We need to bring in squad fillers because we don't have them. Our squad's been lacking for a while now, and we're apparently getting rid of a few players this summer. So we need to bulk out in positions that we don't have resilience in. So right wing, left wing, they're the two players that I want us to bring in. Now, strikers, I'm not too sure what we're going to need because there's a lot of rumours out there, and everyone's going, everyone's coming. Like it's the same old absolute joke of a story that West Ham is selling everyone, buying no one. So Scamacca's rumoured to be going to Roma. We'll address that. Apparently, personal terms have been agreed, but no fee. We'd be stupid to let him go, in my opinion. We've given up on him before we really let him cook. Same thing with Haller. And if you go back to the beginning of the season, when he really started struggling, I think I tweeted out that he's the same player as Haller. He is. There is a player, there's a very good footballer there. It's just whether Moyes can get the right notes out of him. And then Antonio's comments probably hasn't helped. It's probably unsettled him a bit more. He's saying he wants to go back to Italy, but that's just false. He just wants to play football. That's all any striker really wants to do, is just play football, score goals, which Scamacca can do in abundance. So all three of our strikers are rumoured to be leaving. So Scamacca, Antonio and Ings apparently are all leaving. I'd personally retain all three, unless they really want to go. I'd have a word in Antonio's ear and be like, look, we want you here, but you need to wind it in on your podcast. It's fine, you can have your podcast, talk about whatever you want, but as soon as it comes to stuff around the club and surround other players, that's where the line needs to be drawn. And you need to understand that it affects the team's morale, and you need to take more ownership of that. It's just petulance. I said it before. He acts like a petulant child sometimes, Antonio. So I think someone just needs to have a word with him about that and professionalism as a whole. Scamacca off to Roma apparently, and Ings, I think is a lot of the fans have given Ings a hard time, myself included, but he is a proven goal scorer, Premier League goal scorer, and yes, he didn't really hit the highs that some of us might have expected, but he did score some crucial goals for us, and he came on at crucial times. He was good in that semi-final against Alkmaar, so I'd keep him. His wages are a bit of a problem though, because he is on very high wages. I think it was a panic buy in January because we didn't have strikers, and we didn't know if Antonio could last the season. So I'm going to go with, let's say, the one that looks most likely to leave is Scamacca. So let's say Scamacca goes, so we need to bring in at least one striker. I haven't seen too many actual links with players, but I'm going to go off what I wanted in the summer. I know he's had a poor season with injuries and he hasn't done much when he played, but going back to when he was on loan at Southampton, Armando Broja was brilliant against us. He absolutely ran our defence, very similar to Antonio, yet he's an actual striker who can score goals. And what I mean by that is, when Antonio goes through one-on-one, I'm yet to find a West Ham fan that expects him to score. That's not how you should feel with a striker. Broja for me would be a great signing. He's just had a really bad injury though, so it's a risk, but it just depends on how much the risk's worth. Like, if they're asking for 30 million, no chance. Take him on loan with an obligation to buy for, say, 20 million, 25 million, then yeah, do it. I think we'd get we get a tune out of him for sure. And then I'm going to bring up a player that we've been linked to for the last 6 seasons, I think. So we'll be linked to him again. I don't want him, but I'm just going to enter it as just to let everyone know. En-Nesyri, the Sevilla striker who has said several times he doesn't want to come to West Ham, we will be linked to him this summer. I guarantee it. Going through that all again, I want Max Kilman or a Max Kilman type player at centre-back to come in as a squad player just to bulk it up. Promote a left-back from the under-18s, get him in and around the squad. Same on the right-back side, because Ben Johnson hasn't got it for me anymore. In the middle, I'd like Edson Alvarez and James Ward-Prowse. Then left wing, Harvey Barnes, Traore right wing, and then I take Armando Broja through the middle, and then Scamacca's off. So that's what. So you got Max Kilman's going to be rumoured to pay about 25 to 30 million. I'm going to be optimistic and say 25. Alvarez in midfield, 40, so that's 65. James Ward-Prowse, I wouldn't pay more than 30, so that's 95. Then you got Harvey Barnes, which is going to cost about 35 as well, so that's what, 140. Traore is free, so that's good. And then Broja, let's go on loan. That's roughly £140 million outlay. Declan Rice goes, that's a £40 million net loss. I'm living in dreamland, really. I hadn't really looked at the numbers before that. That's not going to happen, is it? But we all like to dream, and we have to feel better about the fact that we're losing our striker. So that's what I think we need. They're the positions that I think we need. They might not be the same players, and they might not be the players that we need in those positions. So if you think any other players can fit in the roles that I've just said, the positions, let me know down below. Get at me on Twitter. We'll have a conversation about it. There's loads of players out there that will fit the bill for our squad, and there's players that will probably be better value for money than the players that I listed. Yes, that's it for today. I will be back later in the week with another video, probably reacting to whatever fees agreed for Declan Rice, wherever he's going. But until the next one, guys, actually, before I do that, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. Drop some comments down below about who we should be signing, where they play, what position, how much they cost. Let's get it going. And until the next one, guys, come on, you Irons.